Mother, mother, there's too many. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you that you know to bring some loving here today. Hey, hey, Father, Father, we don't need peace, peace, people. Welcome to We Are Our Ancestors, Jemima's World, the Jelly Moose's Cafe. I am your hostess, Jemima. As always, it's good to be black in the land of the living once again. I do not own the rights to the song. It is the incomparable Marvin Gaye with the song entitled What's Going On, which came out in the mid 70s. And the lyrics to that song is was prevalent then. It's prevalent now. It was prevalent 100 years before Marvin made it. It was prevalent 200 years. It was prevalent 300 years, all the way back to when we were brought to these shores. What's going on? And in the lyrics, he says, Mama, mama, there's far too many of you crying. Brother, 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 it's far too many of us dying. And the same still goes today. All right, so we are still in not even 30 days into the presidency of Elon Musk. And uh, the white folks are losing their mind. They are about to stroke out. Now, we know what happens when white people, you know, start to lose their mind. I won't even say what they do to themselves, but a lot of them tend to, you know, take care of themselves and leave the family with the BS to deal with. If you understand what I'm saying, I don't want to get my channel, strike against it by saying certain things. But for us, for Black people, and it's concerning. It is concerning. Um, it's concerning to us because we don't know what the future is going to hold for the next generations. The only good thing about this is that it's only 4 years. And if we can get to the polls, you know, midterm, then it may not be bad so bad in the last 2 years of President Musk. But the way our ancestors dealt with this, because if you think about it, on these shores in America, we just got the right to vote in the 60s. We just fully got the right. And it's even after that, a lot of it was taken from us. So prior to that, we had no say so at all in whoever was going to be occupying the White House. We had to kind of just, sit and watch the white folks lose their mind about what was happening. But then we had to figure out how are we going to survive this? And the way that they survived it is they resisted. They resisted. And I'm not talking about an all out, revolution. They resisted in small ways. I talked about this before. Day to day resisting. They resisted. If you look at the picture that's on the front there, it's a picture of an elderly, senior, seasoned Black woman. Now, think about if that woman was one of our ancestors and she had been enslaved since birth, since birth. And even when she got to an old age of 80 something years old, she was still enslaved. That meant for every single solitary day of her life, she woke up, she was in bondage. She went to bed, she was in bondage. She woke up, she was in bondage. She went to bed, she was in bondage. Every single solitary day of her life, she did not have a choice. But she did have a choice of how she was going to
deal with that bondage. In a lot of ways, our ancestors dealt with it was, again, resisting. And again, it wasn't an all out revolution. They resisted in small, subtle ways that to the naked eye or from an outside person looking in didn't look much like resistance, which will prompt someone as dumb as Kanye West would say slavery was a choice. Because people like him, and even some people like us, because we don't study our history, we don't know what resistance may look like. Learning to read was resistance. They said we couldn't, and we did in secret. And then, not only in secret, after emancipation, when we were allowed to go to school and get an education, getting an education is a form of resistance because they don't think, number one, that we deserve it, nor do they think we're smart enough to even be able to um, contain the knowledge or absorb the knowledge that's being taught to us. So education is resistance. Learning how to read is resistance. Joy is resistance. And I found that out at my job. This is 2025. Me and the ladies that I work with, it's four ladies in the office. And sometimes we'll be sitting back there and we will laugh and have a good time, even in the midst of all of this foolishness that's going on around us. And the supervisor of the department came in and he said, "What's all this laughing going on?" Now, he said it in a joking way, but I know there's a lot of truth in jokes. He didn't like the fact that we were laughing. He wanted to walk in and find us looking miserable because his boy had won. Oh, it's going to hit him later on, the consequence of him voting for 47. But the fact that we could sit back there and not be crying and complaining and moaning about what's going on, but find joy even in the midst of what's going on, that's a form of resistance. They don't like to see you happy. And with that came the stereotype of we were happy slaves. Excuse me, because we found joy at certain times. And they thought, oh, well, they must be happy out there. We whipping them and this and the other, and they out there happy. We were happy because even in the midst of our oppression, we were able to build community. We were able to build families. We were happy to get married, even though we knew that the next day our spouse could be put on the auction block or put on at the end of a rope. We still found joy in jumping the broom and getting married. We found joy in having children, even though we knew we were giving birth to children that would be enslaved. We did everything that we could to protect them. We still found joy in life. That was a form of resistance to them. And of course, I've talked about other ways of resisting. We broke down equipment. We pretended to be sick when we weren't. We pretended we couldn't read when we could. We pretended we couldn't understand what they were saying so we could get out of work. So, yeah, resistance. And all of that resistance, we knew that in some of those battles of resisting and some of those ways of resisting, we knew that there were going to be sometimes consequences. We knew that if the cook, the enslaved cook, was found out that she was putting, oh, I don't know, glass in their food, that she was going to risk either them selling her children, or truly punishing someone in her family with unaliving. And when we were faced with that, we still resist. But we kind of pulled back. We went into that recovery phase. We're like, you know what? Okay, so they caught me this time. Let me pull back a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna do it again. But I'm gonna give you a little time. I'm gonna let you recover and I'm gonna recover, but I'm gonna do it again. You can bet that. So we resisted, we had our recovery phase, and then guess what? We repeated it. Do you know why we repeated it? Because every day we repeated being in bondage. every day. We were in bondage. Every single there was no retirement plan. There was no 401k. There was no benefits to being in bondage. None. There were no benefits. No 401k, no retirement, no health benefits, um, nothing. And so every day we had to resist. Every day we had to recover. And then we repeated it until we were free. Now, I have often told people that in 1865, when emancipation came, they immediately went into resist, recover, and repeat. They resisted the fact that we were free. To them, we were still slaves. They resisted that. They resisted the laws that gave us any type of equal footing. They resisted all of that. They resisted the fact that we were actually human and not three-fifths of a human being. They resisted that. And so they had to recover. And their recover period was Reconstruction. See, while we were building, they were planning how to destroy what we had built. And then they were planning not only to destroy what we have built, but how do we repeat slavery? Well, it's going to have to be some different ways. We're going to have to reword some things. We're going to have to go about it a different way. And so, since they are in their repeating stage of trying to put us back into bondage, we have to go back to our ancestors' phase of resisting. We have to resist. We have to. Doing things that we know is a resistance. Again, education. Let me tell y'all something. They have told us that they are not going to teach Black history in school. How did our ancestors resist when they told them you can't read a book? They read books. So to resist the notion of our children cannot learn Black history, we teach them. The churches step up. Have Bible study where you're teaching Black history. If you want to use the Bible to do it, then do it. But teach Black history. We resist because they are repeating us not having access to good medical benefits. Okay, well, our ancestors probably never saw a doctor until after emancipation. I'm talking about years after emancipation. You don't think that they got free in January of 1860 or December of 1865? In January 1866, they were standing in line at the doctor's office, do you? Do you? Or do you think that they were still utilizing the women and men that were in the communities when they were in bondage and were still going to those root workers and those hoodoo practitioners and those women and men who were midwives and the men who were healers? We were still going to them. That's a form of resistance. They don't want to give us medical. People still do that. There are still people in communities that still know how to work with herbs. They do. That's how we resist that. And then we're going to recover. And this time, we're going to recover everything that was stolen from us. We're going to recover it all. And the first thing that we need to recover that was stolen from us is our African essence, our African history, our African um, ancestry. We are the children of Mama Africa. We have to recover that. I'm seeing even in Black History Month, people that are sharing stories about Black history. I have not seen not one African American who has fallen into the system of Western civilization post one story about Africa, someone African, or someone outside of the United States that's Black. Not one. Because we have separated Black history from Africa. When Africa is our Black history, or it's a part of it. So we're going to resist. We're going to recover our stolen past and our stolen legacy and our stories. And then we're going to repeat that every day. Every day. And that's how we're going to get through this second. I don't even want to say second because I don't even know when we've had a break. I don't know. George Fraser, I love listening to him. He has a YouTube video where he talks about, and this was about maybe 6, 7 years ago, where he did this talk about Black people, African Americans being headed into a second slavery. And I won't even say second because again, we've always been in some type of bondage ever since 1619, whether it was indentured servitude until it became chattel slavery, and then it became even through Reconstruction, we were still in a bondage. There were still certain things that we could not do. Jim Crow, we definitely know that we were in bondage in Jim Crow. Civil rights movement, we were fighting for certain things, and then we have the Black Lives Matter movement, and here we are with fighting again to have a place in this country. So repeat after me. We are going to resist. We are going to recover everything that was stolen from us. And we're going to repeat it every day, the same way our ancestors did, those that were in bondage every single solitary day of their life. I cannot imagine. I can't imagine waking up every day with someone else having every say so over your life. When to get up, when to work, when to eat, what to eat, or even when to breathe, or if you were going to breathe. All right, that's it. You know the drill. Love yourself, love each other, give yourself some grace, and give each other some grace. We are our ancestors. Honor your ancestors, they will honor you. And until next time, peace.